What's up, guys? Alright, I'm going to cut straight to the chase on this one. I just got out of Shazam Fury of the Gods a few minutes ago. Figured I'd record sort of a out of the theater reaction / review. This is going to be pretty quick. I just want to give my basic thoughts on the movie. So let's not waste any more time. So to start off my review on Shazam Fury of the Gods, I want to talk about the fact that a lot of people that I'm seeing are saying things like they're getting burnt out on comic book movies or they're experiencing comic book movie fatigue. I'm not really in that camp. I don't feel that I'm suffering from comic book movie fatigue. I feel like I'm suffering from mediocre comic book movie fatigue. Like, if they put more effort into these movies and write genuinely decent stories, I'll like them. I mean, there have been comic book movies in the last, 4 or 5 years that I've really enjoyed. There have also been ones that I really didn't enjoy. I don't really feel fatigued of superhero movies in general. I'm just kind of sick of the decline in quality that we're seeing, regardless of whether you're talking Marvel or DC. With that said, I've seen a lot of people saying that the diminishing returns, both financially for Marvel and quality-wise, are suggesting that DC might soon overtake them. Maybe that's true, maybe that's not true, but Shazam Fury of the Gods is not a great start in that direction. I don't know how else to put it other than the fact that walking out of this movie, I feel like this is the most bland comic book movie I have seen in the last few years. It's worse than Eternals. It's worse than Thor Love and Thunder. I just really could not get into this movie. It felt like an utter slog. So in Shazam Fury of the Gods, we got the team back from the last movie, a bunch of kids that can transform themselves into superheroes by saying the word Shazam. It's a really fun concept. The first one was sort of a fun, lighthearted, almost Spider-Man type story where you have this kid who is still very childish when he's in his superhero form, but you've got a guy like Zachary Levi playing him, so he adds a lot of charisma to the mix. It was a fun movie, not exactly my favorite of the DC universe, but now they're back. They're teaming up as a family to sort of just look out for the little guy and save people on a broken bridge and shit like that. And they have to work as a team, as Zachary Levi says in the trailer. It's all about family, just like those Fast and Furious movies, man. And it's a shame that this movie doesn't have the dignity to reference that and not sound stupid because, yikes. Now, before I tear this movie to shreds, I do want to point out a few things that I really liked in it because there were some. First and foremost, Jack Dylan Grazer, that guy is talented. He does a lot of great work in this movie, and he's sort of almost the emotional core to it. There are several sort of key emotional scenes in the movie that I think he does a really good job with. And he's probably the character that I was the most invested with. I was the most invested with his story. And coincidentally, I think it's because he's in his human form. He's in his child form the most out of all the characters in this movie. A lot of the other kids spend this movie, or at least a majority of the movie, suited up. And I really think that detracts from the charm and the draw that this movie had, at least the original movie. Rachel Zegler also plays a new character in this movie, and she sort of forms a bond with him, and she's not being completely forthcoming with her origins and sort of where she falls into the story. And there was a really interesting dynamic there that I think could have been a lot better explored. These two actors were probably my favorite in the movie. There's also a dragon in the movie. I mean, I just won't deny that it was kind of cool in certain sequences to watch Shazam punch a giant dragon because dragons are cool. With that said, there aren't a lot of other positives I can come up with this movie. And I'm shocked to be the one sitting here bitching and moaning about a comic book movie because I've always been like, all these people that are so easy to give up on DC and Marvel saying that they've gone down the drain and that they can't claw their way out. And now I'm right here with some of you. This is a largely boring comic book film despite having a lot of action in it. Zachary Levi, he gets a lot of screen time, as you would hope he does, since he essentially plays the lead character. But again, one of my biggest problems with the movie, moving into the negatives now, is I think the characters spend too much time in their superhero forms. It's even the little scenes where they're just sitting around sort of planning things, how they're going to go about solving the situation they find themselves in. It just doesn't feel as energetic and fun and light as it did in the first movie when they were just a bunch of kids who happen to have superpowers that transform them into godlike beings. Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu are both really talented actresses, and I think they were horribly miscast as the villainous daughters of Atlas in this movie, who are sort of these demigod characters that have returned to sort of take the powers back from all these children that have been granted the powers by the wizard. And these villains are given next to no depth. There's really no reason to sympathize with them or relate to them. They're just big bads that need to be there because, well, there needs to be a final boss. Another thing that really shocked me about this movie is that despite the fact that some of the sequences actually look really good, a lot of the visuals in this movie are bland, they're ugly, the CGI is a bit inconsistent. In the third act, it sort of feels like they had no idea what else to do with it, so they even threw in this giant fucking tree that sprouts out of nowhere, and then you've got monsters spawning from the tree, and just, it's a big giant CGI fest with monsters chasing around civilians. We've seen this so many times, and the movie does virtually nothing to differentiate itself from the sea of other comic book movies that have done exactly what this does. To give the movie a little bit of credit, there is a scene in the third act that actually does take a stab at giving us some genuine emotion, and it was slightly effective, but then it's completely ruined by probably one of the most forced DC cameos I have ever seen. I'm not going to say who it is, even though it was in some of the marketing. I don't want to spoil it for people that don't want to know, but let's just say it really falls flat. Just to be clear, I'm not annoyed by the certain character that shows up. It's the manner in which they show up that felt totally forced, completely cheesy, and unearned. And this movie is 2 hours and 10 minutes long or something like that. It just doesn't feel earned. It doesn't feel like anything of that much importance happened in this movie, whether we're talking about the characters or just the overall story. Now, is this the worst DC film ever? No. It's not even the worst DC Extended Universe film, especially when you're looking at something like the Justice League. That movie still blows ass. However, I do think this movie had a lot of potential. The trailer looked interesting to me. By the way, I think they used all the best scenes and the best lines in the trailer. Like, you see Zachary Levi get flung through like 5 buildings, picks up a truck, chucks it at the dragon, and goes, "I just threw a truck at a dragon. I love my life." That was a great line, but you can tell it was a trailer line because it's about all they had interesting from this movie to put in the trailer. Oh well, I don't want to turn this video into a rant. I just really didn't care for this movie. I really expected a lot better from it, especially given the talent behind it in front of the camera. And with that said, I'm going to give Shazam! Fury of the Gods a 2 out of 5. Don't recommend this one at all. Go see Scream, or hell, even Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania I think was a little bit better than this. Who knows, maybe I just have really weird taste because I know most people on planet Earth hated Black Adam. I actually thought that movie was a very fine, just okay superhero movie, whereas I see more people are liking this, and I don't. So who knows, take what I say with a grain of salt, but those are just my thoughts on Shazam! Fury of the Gods. As always, guys, be sure to join me in the comments. Let me know what you thought of the movie. Drop a like if you have time, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.